Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of Dateline SAU, where you can catch all the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University. I'm Shelby Shepard.
And I'm Paige Allen. Our top story tonight is an SAU Confessions webpage is causing a stir on social media and on campus. Until recently, a confession at St. Ambrose meant talking to a priest, not posting on social media. But that's changed thanks to a national wave of Facebook and Twitter pages where students anonymously post their secrets for the world to see. The craze recently struck at St. Ambrose University. Kelly Steiner explains how pages like this could affect you.
It became an overnight sensation. The Ambrose Confession and Secret Admirer pages on Facebook and Twitter. The Facebook pages were shut down for unknown reasons, but another one went up to replace it, and there's still an active following on Twitter.
We have not been able to shut any of these pages down. To our knowledge, we don't have that ability if we wanted to with Facebook to be able to do that.
Administrators sent out an email encouraging students to come forward if they were hurt by the post. They also reminded students that it may be fun now, but those posts will be online forever.
There really is a line between college fun and damage to a reputation that could get you in serious trouble.
That line was crossed many times on the page, with crude posts about sex, instances of supposed drug use, heavy alcohol consumption, and spreading hateful messages about people or groups on campus. It's these posts that had many worried about the pages and student safety.
We should be as concerned with the community on our social media as we are the community here that we have physically on campus. And so,
besides moral consequences, there could be legal action.
If a student was libeled by another student, that student could sue. That student could sue the person administering the site.
The bottom line, think before you type. Kelly Steiner, Dateline SAU.
While the confession scandal has swept through St. Ambrose in recent weeks, not all of the posts on the social networking sites were negative. The owner of the newest Facebook page, Slambros Confessions, is working hard to keep it clean and fun. Every post is reviewed before it goes up, and if a post offends anyone, it will be taken down, acknowledging the hurtful messages on the old page. The creators of the site want Slambros Confessions to be a place to share only funny and embarrassing stories, focusing on the positive. With over 600 likes on the page and hundreds of posts, many are using it as a fun way to express themselves.
The Cosgrove Cafeteria was serving up a taste of international food and culture Sunday, March 24th. Diversity Fest was the final event to the 23rd annual MultiCultural Week at SAU. Students, staff, and Quad City community members were invited to the cafeteria to sample traditional foods, coffee, and candy from a variety of countries. This year, students studying abroad from both India and China were at the event explaining unique aspects of their cultures.
Bangles is a very important thing in Indian culture. I mean, in every wedding you see people do wear bangles, and it's a very important part of our culture. So we thought it would be great if we shared bangles with all of you.
In addition to handing out the bangles, the international students from India also had their favorite sweet treat on hand, some papri, a light, fluffy sweet which they purchased at a local Indian market.
If you consider yourself an expert on pop culture or sports or maybe history or science, you'd feel at home alongside several hundred other competitors at one of several trivia nights held throughout the area. A couple of times each year, St. Ambrose University plays host to a popular trivia night in the Rogalski Center. A recent event was nearly sold out, putting some 500 trivia buffs in a competition for prize, while raising money for a good cause.
I just think that it's a popular, fun thing to do in the Quad Cities, and a week and a half ago we only had 20 RSVPs in, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit, so I did a marketing push, got some emails out there, and added onto our Facebook page, and now we're sitting at 49 tables, and everyone's having a good time. We're hearing a lot of oohs and ahs, and people heckling each other, so it's a fun night, all for a good cause. Half of the proceeds go to the children's campus, and half of the proceeds go to the Alumni Association to fund scholarships for students.
The competition consists of 10 rounds of 10 questions each. St. Ambrose University hosts 3 trivia nights each year, with the next event coming up in the fall.
A former longtime director of St. Ambrose University Library has died. Corinne Potter worked at St. Ambrose for 20 years, retiring in 1997 as the director of the university's library. Potter and her staff were integral to the planning and the construction of the current library, which opened in 1996. Corinne Potter was 83.
Over the past weekend, St. Ambrose University said goodbye to a valued employee that had affected so many. SAUTV's Bryce Adkin visits a farewell party for this longtime SAU employee.
After 13 years of being an employee at St. Ambrose University, Deb Dooley resigned as the media services consultant.
Besides being a help in the media services department, she's just super friendly, so we'll miss her smiling face.
Over the years, Deb Dooley has contributed by showing the different uses of multimedia.
Deb Dooley has done a phenomenal job of getting people to work together, to collaborate. She's got a great customer service philosophy and goes out of her way to help people do whatever they need to do. And she's done a lot to show students and faculty how to use multimedia and incorporate it into their work effectively.
Deb Dooley's position not only focuses on ordering books, making binders, and helping students work on videos for their classes, there's far much more than someone would think.
Media services includes a variety of things. It includes checking equipment out to faculty and staff and students, sometimes taking care of equipment in classes, but mostly I would say it's like the multimedia production for students and faculty and staff, creating video editing on the computer, image editing, audio editing, things like that.
As the semester comes to an end, multimedia will remain empty until someone fills the position Deb Dooley perfected through a great service and helping hand. St. Ambrose has already began searching for a replacement for the position of media services by posting ads in the local newspaper. Media services will remain in the library for years to come. Bryce Aiken, Dateline SAU.
On Wednesday, March 26th, members of the St. Ambrose student body met in order to learn about hurtfulness of words and their meanings. SAUTV's Jordan Light was there.
St. Ambrose students gathered today in the Gottlieb Lounge in the Rogalski Center ballroom in order to build up a wall of oppression and then tear that wall down. Sadly, a lack of student involvement had organizers searching for answers.
I think the numbers might be down mostly because it's a hard topic and it's not easy to have a hard conversation about something. Also, talking about oppression isn't exactly a hot topic. If we had made it like it's hard to make it a hot topic because it's a hard conversation every time.
Others feel that it is an event that only those who have lived it can understand and truly be passionate about.
I think that some of the students at the Ambrose come from backgrounds where they got sheltered from these words. And I know that it's not their fault, but since they haven't really had like real life experience of these words hurting them, that it's just not a subject that is applicable to them.
Though members of the group do find the lack of numbers disheartening, they hope moving forward that they can teach other members of the St. Ambrose community what they learned here today and how not to use these offensive words that hurt others. Jordan Light, Dateline SAU.
How would you feel if a woman in your life was a victim of violence? Would you have the courage to speak out? Each year at St. Ambrose University, the Women's Studies Department puts on a show, urging people to do just that.
A memory, a monologue, a rant, and a prayer. This is the title of a show performed around the world to advocate the end of violence against women and girls. Katie Strasbeck, Director of Women's Studies, has had her Women's Studies 201 class perform this event for the past 6 years. The students in this class are required to participate in some aspect of the event, from promotion to actually performing.
To do it to teach my students how to be activists, because sometimes in my class we study a lot about some really horrible things that have happened, but I want them to know that you can make change in the world and you can make the world a better place if you speak out and make people aware of what's going on.
Strasbeck's hope that the show would inspire activism among her 201 students reached further than just her Women's Studies class.
Even though they were sad and, I don't know, like, I was close to tears, it made me want to get up and change something. It made me want to be a more powerful woman.
These monologues were written by world-renowned authors and playwrights to elicit this sort of emotion among audience members. While the show can be liberating and inspirational,
It touches on very real and emotional issues that can sometimes be difficult to listen to, even for Strasbeck.
Sometimes it's really hard for me to hear my students reading about such horrible things, and so it kind of hurts to hear them talking, but on the other hand, I'm so proud of them for raising awareness. So the pieces are really moving.
Strasbeck students not only raised awareness, but were in fact activists. Through admissions, t-shirts, and raffle sales, the students raised money for the local Family Resources Shelter here in the Quad Cities, as well as for the Global V-Day campaign. The V-Day campaign is dedicated to speaking out to end violence against women and girls. Funds from each of these events have previously gone to helping women in the Congo and Haiti. This year, the funds will continue to support V-Day foundations around the world.
Coming up in sports, scores from baseball and softball action as their seasons get underway.
And the SAU tennis teams work together on the practice court.
John Rolfe has all the highlights and more coming up after this short break.
Stay tuned.
I absolutely fell in love with the atmosphere and with the people, and there was just this attitude of really wanting to help the students learn, and then the opportunities for all of the hands-on things that are available here. All of those things were presented to me as things that I could get involved in right away. It wasn't something that I was going to have to wait to be involved in. I've had the opportunity since graduating from St. Ambrose to work in some different areas, and all of those things are experiences that I had as a student at Ambrose, and then I can take those out into the real world and tell people that I have all of these experiences and that I can do essentially anything that they have for me to do. And they were all just great experiences for me, things that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
The St. Ambrose baseball team opened the outdoor season with a pair of games against Clark at Modern Woodman Park on March 28th and lost both of those games. The Bees struggled to score as they lost the first game 3-1 and the second game 4-1. Brian Duplessis gave up 2 earned runs over 6 innings in the loss. The Fighting Bees had an opportunity to avenge the losses when they hosted the Mount Mercy Mustangs on April 2nd, and they did just that. Pitcher Zach Rolfe, who threw a complete game shutout in the opener. In the second game of the day, the Bees scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning to earn a 4-3 win. Tom Pryor scored from third on a wild pitch to give the Fighting Bees the victory. Tom Szymanski came on to pitch 4 shutout innings in relief to earn the win. The St. Ambrose softball team squared off against Cardinal Stritch for 3 games on March 23rd through 24th in the Ambrose Dome and swept all 3. Jenna Harshbarger pitched a complete game shutout, allowing 6 hits and no walks in the 3-0 win. The next day was more of the same as the Queen Bees swept the day. In the first game, Brittany Carlson paced the Bees with 2 RBIs, while Nikki Green scored 2 runs. There was late inning drama in the second game as Green hit a 1-out walk-off 2-run home run in the bottom of the 7th inning to give the Bees a 3-1 victory. A few days later, the Bees had a doubleheader with Augustana and Rock Island. The Queen Bees lost the first game 10-2 in 5 innings before rebounding for a 7-5 win in the nightcap. The Bees used a 4-run 7th inning to win the game, aided by Samantha Saladino's 3-run home run. The Bees also hosted the Grandview Vikings for a doubleheader on April 3rd and got swept. 3 Ambrose pitchers combined to give up only 1 run in a 1-0 defeat in the second game of the doubleheader. The St. Ambrose men's and women's tennis teams faced off against the Augustana Vikings on March 24th at the Quad City Tennis Club in Moline, Illinois, and were both dealt 8-1 losses. Santiago Gonzalez won for the Fighting Bees at number 1 singles, while Olivia Lofgren was victorious for the Queen Bees at number 6 singles. The St. Ambrose tennis teams have a unique way of practicing that few other sports have, which allows the teams to form a special bond.
St. Ambrose tennis teams are probably as close as men's and women's athletes in any other sport at St. Ambrose. This is because, for the majority of the season, they practice together. This can have both positive and negative impacts on the team.
There's advantages in that the guys can help the girls play better. The disadvantages, of course, are sort of takes away some time with the guys.
Reasons they practice together are lack of court time and having the same coach for both teams. Still, there are some players who wish they had separate practices.
I don't like that, honestly. I think, I mean, the level is different, you know, so whenever we want to practice hard, it's hard to do it with the girls, you know, because they're here and, like, obviously you have to slow down.
While some players don't like practicing together, there are others who see the benefits, even if the situation isn't always ideal.
Practicing with the women's team is fun. We don't really get as much accomplished as we do with the men's team, but it's fun nonetheless.
Members of the women's tennis team seem to like practicing together more than the men's team does. Still, when so many people practicing together can present its challenges.
We play games together, so that's a lot of fun. But then other times it's hard for coach to be at two places at once.
Although this can make practicing difficult, players on the team can agree that they are an extremely closely knit group because of it, which all the players can agree is a good thing.
The men's and women's tennis teams will get a chance to bond even more when they have 2 matches together on April 13th. And that will do it for sports this week. I'm John Rolfe.
Thanks, John. And that will do it for this week's edition of Dateline SAU.
Make sure you come back next week for the latest news and sports from St. Ambrose University.
With warmer weather on the horizon, we asked students what they're looking forward to doing outside.
Here's what they had to say about a little fun in the sun.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
I'm looking forward to going fishing and running outside.
I am looking forward to going swimming, being outside, watching softball, baseball, and just enjoying the weather.
I'm probably most looking forward to putting on shorts again because it's going to be nice out, and I'm a lifeguard during the summer, so I'm really looking forward to, you know, just getting out by the pool and saving lives.